Hi all, this is going to be my unsponsored review of the Buck Vantage Pro Alaska Guide Edition. I'm finding that this is a kind of a forgotten knife in the entry to the high-end knives over in the knife fora, and I'm going to try and remedy that because it really is a fine piece of work. Firstly, it is U.S. made. You can see here, hopefully. And it also, you can see here, it has S30V blade steel. So there's a whole line of Buck Vantage knives. This is the top of the line. I believe they start around 30 bucks. This one went for about 80 bucks. It has the top of the line steel, the DLC coating, the rosewood handle inserts. It's just really nicely done overall. One thing I like about it is that it's kind of gentlemanly looking. If you were to open this up in a non-tactical manner like you would a traditional knife, just, pull it open by the blade, no one would bat an eye. And then, of course, you also have the option to open one-handed with the thumb slot or with the flipper. Another nice thing about it is that the blade is nice and thick. The blade stock is 1/8 of an inch thick, or about 3 millimeters. Almost all the way to the tip. It doesn't start narrowing down until right here. So it's a very strong one. And this particular one, they make it in two sizes. This is the smaller size, which is, the blade is 2.5 inches, and the handle is about 3 or 3.5 inches. Another thing worth pointing out about this is the pocket clip. You'll notice it screws on from the end, and there's a slot just in the end here that goes to either side, so it can go either on the right or left side. Tip up only, that's fine with me. Tip down is for chumps. But the nice thing about that is that, number one, it's a deep carry. You can see when it's in the pocket, it just goes all the way in. And number two, if you wanted to take the clip off and just carry it as a pocket knife, it doesn't have a bunch of holes all over it. It just still looks nice and clean from the sides. You just have 2 little holes in the end. So that's kind of nice. This particular one, the small one, is appropriate for a 3-finger hold. I have small, medium hands. Either the pinky is hanging off or it's just kind of on the end of it. But it's not, this is something that you would carry for, maybe in the office or just day to day where you don't need a big huge knife, but it is comfortable. It's got this dent in the back here. There's no I can't think of the word right now, jimping here or on the back of the blade, but 2.5 inch knife. If you have to push that hard, it's because your blade's dull, so don't worry so much about the jimping. I'm not going to do any paper cutting. I think that's kind of dumb. If you do it when it's straight out of the box, that's one thing, just to show whether it comes sharp or not. But most of us that are going to be looking at knives like this, we know how to sharpen a knife anyway. So unless the factory grind is terrible, it's not anything to worry about. But needless to say, right now it's as sharp as a razor. There's also something else. If we compare this to something like a Spyderco Delica, this is, for a lot of people, this is the ultimate everyday carry. But the thing about it is that width-wise, it's pretty wide. That's a solid 2 inches there from the hump on the back of the blade to the back of the handle. This one, the blade's a little bit smaller, but in the pocket, it's a lot narrower. And also, when it's in the pocket, for example, on a right-handed person, it would be like this. This is all nice and smooth. There's no jimping there. It's not too wide, so it really kind of, when you hook it on your hip pocket, it just kind of hides away. as opposed to this. It's nice and smooth here, but man, it's pretty wide, so it does really kind of encroach on your pocket space. And while we have this out here, let's just do a quick size comparison. There's the Vantage Pro Small compared to the Spyderco Delica. And compared to a full-size Swiss Army knife. This is a 91mm Victorinox Explorer, almost exactly the same size of the handle. Of course, the buck is a lot thinner. Another nice thing about this, if we compare this to something like a Spyderco Delica, you see how narrow that Delica is. And that's nice for pocket carry. Kind of counteracts the fact that it's wide here on account of the spider hump. If we look at the Vantage Pro, it's a little bit thicker. It's got the frame, it's got the plastic scales, and then the inserts. So it's not as thin as a lot of these. It's not trying to go for that ultimate thinness, but on the other hand, it's not so thick that it feels obtrusive, and it also fills the hand a little bit more. So that's kind of a nice thing. The action, I tried loosening this up, and it didn't really get any better until it was so loose that the blade was wobbly. So what it is that if you just give it kind of a lackadaisical flip, it doesn't open all the way. You can either give it a hard flip, or you can use just a little bit of wrist action. This is a bad example because I'm trying to stay on camera, but just a little bit of wrist action and it pops right open. Light flip, a little wrist, or a hard flip with no wrist. Or of course the elongated hole there. Availability. This is something, if you search for this online, for example on Amazon or Blade HQ or wherever, you're not going to find this model. You probably can find all kinds of other models starting at $30 and going up to $50, but you won't find this one with the black DLC coating and with the Alaskan Guide emblem. This is only available at Bass Pro and Cabela's. So it's kind of the top of the line. But anyway. The other versions will be available with Buck's 420 HC. They do an excellent job of hardening it, but it's not quite in the same caliber as S30V as far as edge holding goes. So if you want the top of the line, look at Cabela's or Bass Pro. 420 HC is good. I've never found it to go dull too easily. It's much harder, for example, than Victorinox blades. They've got nice hard files, but that's about it. Anyway, that's about it. I highly recommend this knife, the Buck Vantage Pro. They make it in a small with the 2.5-inch blade, and they make it in a large with the I don't remember if it's 3 1/4 or 3 1/2 or what it is, but I'll look it up and I'll put it in the video description, probably along with some other stuff too. So if you're looking for a knife and just under $100, really good quality, made in USA, with a very good blade steel, but without being super exotic or anything, do yourself a favor and check out the Buck Vantage Pro. Thanks for watching, guys.